Okay, let's talk about a secret habit. You know, the one you might think is a weakness, but what if I told you it's actually a sign of a super sophisticated mind? Today, we're going to decode why your brain just has to know the ending first.
Come on, you know the feeling, right? You're deep into a movie or a great book, and you just get this overwhelming urge to find out how it all ends. Maybe you've done the secret Wikipedia check, or you've, peeked at the last chapter. If you've done that, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
And I'm sure you've heard this a million times, right? People tell you you're just ruining the surprise. The whole idea that you're spoiling it for yourself, that you're somehow cheating the story.
But here's the thing. What if that habit isn't a flaw at all? What if your brain isn't getting spoiled, but it's actually pulling off something incredibly smart? The psychology here suggests that this is a sign your mind is wired for something much, much deeper. So where does this come from? Well, it all starts with this really basic human need for control and a bit of certainty, especially in a world that, let's be honest, often feels pretty unpredictable.
All right, so reason number one, it really boils down to our need for control. Think about it. When you start a story totally blind, you're pretty much just handing your emotions over to the author on a silver platter. Psychologists have a term for this need to feel like you're in the driver's seat of your own experience. They call it an internal locus of control.
And by finding out the ending, you're not giving up. Nope, you're taking that control back. It's your way of saying, I refuse to be emotionally sucker-punched by some tragic twist. You're making sure you get to process this whole story on your terms, not someone else's.
And that leads us right into reason number two. Some of us just have a lower tolerance for uncertainty. For a lot of brains out there, not knowing what's around the corner isn't some exciting thrill ride. It's actually a source of this constant low-grade stress. So, yeah, while some people absolutely love the mystery, for you, that not knowing feeling, it's like an open tab in your brain, an unfinished loop that your mind is just dying to close. So finding out the ending, that's the release valve. It lets all that tension out so you can finally relax and actually focus on the good stuff, the details of the story.
Okay, but this isn't just about feeling comfortable or being in control. It actually goes deeper. It's about unlocking a whole new level of engagement with the story itself.
Which brings us to reason number three. This habit is a sign of what's called high cognitive depth. See, when your brain isn't constantly burning up all its energy just trying to guess what happens next, it frees up a ton of mental bandwidth, basically brain power, for other things.
This is what lets your brain really shift gears. Instead of just reacting to the plot, which psychologists call System 1 thinking, that fast, intuitive gut reaction, you get to engage in the slower, more analytical System 2 thinking. And that is where the magic happens. That's when you can really start picking apart the story's layers. It's symbolism, what really makes the characters tick.
So that's really the key difference here. Are you just chasing the plot, caught up in that moment-to-moment thrill, or are you looking at the blueprint of the story, understanding how and why the author put it all together? Knowing the ending is what lets you do that second one.
And this flows right into reason number four. You have a powerful drive for pattern recognition. Once you know the ending, it's like, boom! You can suddenly see all the invisible threads the author was weaving the whole time. You spot the subtle foreshadowing, the tiny character quirks that pay off later. For you, the joy isn't in the shock of the reveal. It's in that deep intellectual satisfaction of seeing how every single puzzle piece clicks perfectly into place. All right, next up. This habit is also a pretty sophisticated tool for managing your own inner world, especially your emotions. So, reason number five is that knowing the end is basically a form of emotional regulation. For some of us, our wiring just makes those extreme emotional spikes, even the happy ones, feel really overwhelming. The sheer intensity of a huge, shocking twist can just feel like too much. By knowing what's coming, you're able to take a small step back. You can still feel all the emotions of the story, but you're experiencing them from a safe, manageable distance. You're not avoiding the feelings. You're just choosing to experience them with controlled depth instead of being thrown into emotional chaos. It's a choice.
And finally, all of this, it really points to one big core preference: valuing deep meaning way more than just simple spectacle. And here it is, our sixth and final reason. You are driven by the meaning of the story, not just the cheap thrills. In a world that's absolutely obsessed with shocking twists, you're the person who finds that those surface-level surprises just feel a bit hollow. You're searching for something more than a quick jolt of excitement.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. You're not chasing those quick, flashy dopamine hits that come from a surprise twist. Instead, you value the long-term satisfaction that comes from truly understanding a system, seeing how it all works together. For you, a story isn't just a distraction to be consumed. It's a complex piece of architecture to be explored and appreciated. So let's just reframe this whole thing right now. You are not a spoiler. You are a deep processor. Your mind is wired to value meaning over spectacle. You prefer control over chaos. You seek to understand, not just consume. And you engage in deep analysis over just reacting. This isn't a flaw. It's a sign that your mind is built for depth and real awareness. So, the next time you feel that little pull to skip ahead, don't judge yourself for it. Recognize it for what it truly is. It's your brain gearing up not just to watch a story, but to truly, deeply understand it. So the only question left is, now that you know this about yourself, how will you see your next story?